The rain began to fall over Hillside Secondary School just as the first bell rang through the compound. Students in maroon blazers and checkered uniforms rushed toward their classrooms, some using notebooks to shield their heads, others too resigned to care. Amid the noise and chaos, Adaeze sat alone on her bunk in dormitory C, staring blankly at the ceiling while the cold beads of her rosary cut into her palms. She had been up since 3:12 a.m. She knew the time because that was when she saw Junior Chidi levitating 3 inches off his mattress, limbs limp, eyes glowing a murky yellow. His lips had moved, but no sound came, and when he finally spoke, it wasn't in English or Igbo or Yoruba. It was a twisted guttural tongue that clawed at her stomach and scraped across her soul. Her ears rang for hours after. He had fallen back onto the bed without warning, and when the morning came, he acted like nothing happened. Adaeze didn't tell anyone. Who would believe her? She was just a 15-year-old girl from Anambra who had transferred to Hillside last term. But this wasn't the first time she saw something she wasn't meant to see. It had started 2 months ago with a whisper in the hole, a shadow that didn't belong. But now the visions were stronger, more persistent, more dangerous. Hillside was supposed to be a dream school, expensive, elite, the kind of school politicians and oil tycoons sent their kids to. It sat like a fortress on a hill, an hour's drive from the nearest town, surrounded by red earth, silence and secrets. The kind of place where things could fester and no one would notice. That morning she skipped breakfast and went straight to the chapel. It was always cold inside, the marble floor sleek underfoot, the scent of old incense clinging to the air. She prayed harder than she ever had before, whispering protection psalms and clutching her rosary like it was the only real thing left. Adaeze! She turned. Ngozi stood by the pew, arms folded. She wore that same stubborn expression she always had when Adaeze was being difficult. You didn't show up at morning prep? You okay? Adaeze hesitated. I didn't sleep. Ngozi slid into the pew beside her. You saw another one, didn't you? A slow nod. Who? Junior Chidi. Ngozi's eyes widened. He was at breakfast, laughing like nothing happened. I know what I saw, Ngozi. Ngozi stared into the distance. It's getting worse, isn't it? The bell rang. They stood in silence, the sound of rain outside mixing with the quiet hum of prayer still echoing in the chapel. By lunchtime, the skies had darkened further. The rain had turned into a deluge. Chemistry class was a blur of formulas and instructions Adaeze didn't process. She kept her eyes on the students around her. That's when she noticed the shadow. It clung to one of the students, a senior boy named Obiora, a tall, quiet type who rarely spoke. Now his fingers twitched in unnatural rhythms. His mouth moved slightly when the teacher's back was turned, like he was whispering to someone who wasn't there. But what truly unsettled her was how his gaze flicked toward her every few seconds, unblinking. That night, long after lights out, she snuck into the library. She had stolen the key to the locked occult studies shelf from the chaplain's drawer weeks ago. Now she stood before ancient volumes, dust thick on their spines, titles faded. She picked one called Exorcisms in the African Tradition and read by the light of a flashlight wrapped in cloth. Each word was a revelation, rites, symbols, the reality of spiritual warfare. She learned that not all demons possess openly. Some wear their hosts like clothing and wait for the right moment to strike. It happened 3 nights later. She woke up to a sound, breathing, ragged and unnatural. Her eyes adjusted in the dark just in time to see Ngozi standing over her, a shard of broken mirror in her hand. Her eyes were pitch black, no whites, no pupils. Her lips were pulled back in a snarl. You, the voice that came from her said. It wasn't Ngozi's. It was layered, raspy and ancient. You see us? You speak what should not be spoken. Adaeze reacted on instinct. She reached for her rosary and screamed out a prayer, her voice cracking. Ngozi lunged. The shard sliced across Adaeze's forearm. Pain exploded through her. She backed against the wall, blood soaking into her sleeve. Girls were waking up now, screaming. Some ran out, others froze. But Adaeze held her ground. Her hand burned where it gripped the rosary, but she didn't stop chanting. The words spilled from her. Latin, Igbo, English, anything holy, anything sacred. Ngozi shrieked and buckled to her knees, seizing violently. Her back arched, her mouth opened wide, unnaturally wide, and black smoke poured out. It hissed and swirled before vanishing through the window like vapor. Then silence. Ngozi collapsed. It took 2 weeks for the teachers to stop asking questions. The school decided to keep it internal. They said Ngozi had suffered a psychotic break, that Adaeze had saved her from self-harm. No one asked about the black smoke. No one acknowledged the scorched mark left behind on the ceiling. Ngozi didn't talk much after that. She sat with Adaeze during breaks but said little, until one day, during prep, she leaned over and whispered, "It remembers you. It told me before it left. You are not safe." Adaeze tried to ask more, but Ngozi didn't respond. Her eyes had a haunted look, and Adaeze knew it wasn't over. 3 nights later, she dreamt of a gate. It stood in a dark forest. Vines twisted around its rusted iron frame. Behind it was fire and screams. Someone stood at the gate smiling. The next morning, she woke with her sheets soaked in sweat and the taste of ash in her mouth. In class, she tried to focus on literature, but the words blurred. Her hand ached where the rosary had burned her during the exorcism. The scar pulsed like a heartbeat. Then the classroom door creaked open. The teacher walked in, followed by a girl. She was tall, her hair woven in perfect black braids. Her uniform was spotless, but it was her face that caught Adaeze's attention. It was perfect, too perfect, symmetrical in a way no human face should be. Her eyes scanned the room and landed on Adaeze. "Class," the teacher said. "This is Lilith. She just transferred here. I hope you'll all make her feel welcome." Lilith smiled, and in that moment, every rosary bead Adaeze wore turned ice cold. Her fingers trembled. She looked at Ngozi, who had gone pale. The 2 girls locked eyes. Something had followed them, or maybe something had arrived to lead them. Adaeze didn't know what Lilith was, but she knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. And far away, deep underground beneath the school chapel, something old stirred in its slumber and whispered her name. They thought it was just a school. They were wrong. Behind every smile, every hallway, something waits, something ancient. And now it's awake. Adaeze didn't choose this fight, but the demons did, and they've marked her. If this story rattled you like the video, drop your thoughts in the comments and smash that subscribe button, because chapter 2 is coming. And when it does, the gates of Hillside will open wide, and hell will walk through.